Have you ever wondered why some people prosper extraordinarily, while others, despite so much effort, remain trapped in cycles of scarcity? Abraham was not just a rich man. He was blessed with something much greater than money, a divine blessing that transformed everything he touched into true prosperity. Maybe you are living through difficult times today, trying to balance your finances or growing slowly without seeing the fruits you want. Maybe you even feel like something essential is missing from your journey. But what if I told you that there is a secret, a divine strategy that can radically change your financial and spiritual reality? Abraham understood that wealth is not built just through hard work, but mainly through a deep and genuine connection with God. Today, I want to share with you exactly what these principles are that can unlock the prosperity that God has in store, especially for your life. Are you ready to discover how to live richly with purpose, just like Abraham did? So stay with me, because this will completely transform your view of prosperity. Strategy 1. Radical obedience. Abraham understood something essential about building true prosperity. It begins with radical obedience. I'm not talking about that easy, comfortable obedience or that we only do when it suits us. I'm talking about obedience that challenges our comfort zone, that requires sacrifice, courage, and absolute trust in God. When God told Abraham, "Go from your country and from your kindred to a land that I will show you," Genesis 12:1, Abraham did not negotiate, ask for assurances, or wait for complete clarity. He simply stood up and obeyed. How many times has God called you to do something radical, but you hesitated, waiting for a guarantee or an overly clear sign? The truth is that many opportunities are missed because we want to understand everything before acting. Abraham, on the contrary, knew that obeying was more important than understanding. Abraham left without a spiritual GPS, without a detailed map, without human certainties. All he had was the certainty that God was ahead of him. And do you know what happened? This obedience opened extraordinary doors, doors that no human effort could open. God multiplied what he had, protected him from dangers, and made him an eternal reference of prosperity with purpose. Today, I want to challenge you to think, what is the instruction that God has already placed in your heart and that you have not yet fulfilled due to fear or insecurity? The next level of prosperity in your life is directly linked to your willingness to radically obey God. Don't wait for perfect conditions because the ideal scenario may never appear. Take the first step today and see how God will multiply your blessings through your obedience. Strategy 2. Unshakable faith in uncharted territories. One of Abraham's greatest characteristics was his unshakable faith in the face of the unknown. Abraham dared to believe in what seemed impossible to human eyes. The Bible clearly says in Hebrews 11:8-9 that Abraham went away not knowing where he was going. Imagine the courage it took to walk into the unknown simply because God said he would be with him. You have also found yourself faced with unknown situations, full of doubts and uncertainties. It is exactly in these moments that God is testing the quality of your faith. It's not just about believing that God exists, but trusting that he will do everything he promised, even when the scenario doesn't seem favorable. True faith is acting even without seeing, walking even without having all the answers. What is the uncharted territory you need to face today? Maybe it's a new business, a career change, or even an investment you've been dreading making. I want to encourage you, your prosperity does not depend on the perfect scenario, but on your absolute trust in God. Take bold steps today and see what God can do with your faith. If this word is already touching your heart in some way, do the following. Click like now and subscribe to the channel here. This helps this content reach more people who need to be activated in this same faith that you are receiving now. And let me tell you something. It's an honor to have you here with me on this journey. Let's grow together, because God has much more to release in your life. Strategy 3. Detachment. The key to continuous growth. There is a type of faith that many ignore. The faith that lets go. The faith that delivers. The faith that renounces. Abraham not only believed to conquer, he believed to deliver. This requires a level of spiritual maturity that few achieve. Because it is easy to have faith to receive, it's really difficult to have the faith to let go. But that's where God tests the heart. Abraham had everything to say no when God asked for Isaac. After all, Isaac was the son of promise, the only bridge between him and the fulfillment of what God had said. But Abraham understood a profound truth. The promise can never take the place of the God of promise. And because he did not withhold what he loved most, God responded with something even greater and confirmed the blessing upon generations. Many people are stuck in life because they cannot let go of people, projects, or positions that God has already asked them to let go of. They are holding on to relationships that drain the soul, jobs that no longer make sense, habits that impede advancement. The fear of losing has been greater than faith in God. But listen to this. Everything you give to God's altar, He returns in the form of a miracle. Perhaps what is needed is not more effort, more prayer, more fasting. Maybe what's missing is give up. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. Because when you let go, you free up space. Space for the new. Space for the extraordinary. Space for what comes from the sky. And let me tell you something with a lot of love, but also with a lot of truth. Those who live clinging to the past never embrace the future. Detachment is the gateway to growth, and only those who have the courage to let go of what they love are ready to receive what they never imagined. Today, do an exercise with God. Ask, Lord, what have I not fully surrendered to you? And when He shows you, surrender. No reservations, no fear. Because you don't lose when you give it to God, you only multiply. Strategy 4. Strategic alliances that thrive. Abraham was a man who knew who he associated with. He understood that wrong alliances can contaminate even a right purpose. When the king of Sodom tried to offer him riches, Abraham immediately refused, saying, I will accept neither a chain nor a sandal strap, lest you say, I have made Abraham rich. Genesis 14:23. I once met a brilliant man, intelligent, hardworking, full of incredible ideas. He had everything to prosper. But there was one detail. He chose his alliances poorly. He associated with greedy, lying people who only wanted an advantage. And every time something started to work, one of these alliances pulled him back. Do you know why? Because the wrong alliance is like an anchor on a ship. No matter how strong the favorable winds are, you won't move. When he finally understood this and cut some of those toxic connections, everything changed. His business grew, peace returned to his heart, and new doors began to open. Abraham also understood this early. He did not accept alliances that stained his loyalty to God. He knew that the source of the blessing needed to be pure. And you? Who have you been walking with? Sometimes thriving isn't about starting something new. It's about stopping hanging out with those who slow you down. Do you know what this teaches us? That your prosperity is directly linked to the alliances you make. Not every proposal that shines comes from God. The enemy also knows how to disguise traps with the appearance of opportunity. Abraham had spiritual discernment. He understood that a wrong alliance could put at risk everything that God was building in his life. In our day and age, strategic alliances are not just about partnership in business. They involve friendship, marriage, advisors, mentors, and even the content we consume. Who you listen to determines who you become. Abraham rejected the king of Sodom's proposal because he didn't want anyone to say that his wealth came from human hands. He preferred to depend exclusively on divine provision than to have his success story tarnished by alliances with people with distorted values. Perhaps you are surrounded by alliances that have drained your energy, drained your faith, or compromised your values. It's time to do some spiritual cleaning. Evaluate your connections. Strengthen alliances with people who bring you closer to God, who share the same vision of the kingdom, who inspire you to grow in holiness, wisdom, and prosperity. Abraham prospered because he protected his covenants. He was judicious, intentional, and faithful to the principles of heaven. Do the same, and you will see how certain doors will begin to open, divine connections will arrive, and your journey will be accelerated on the path to true prosperity. Strategy 5. The abundance mentality. Abraham did not live in fear of scarcity. He had an abundance mindset because he knew his source was God himself. When there was conflict between his shepherds and Lot's shepherds, Abraham was not afraid to give in. He said, "Let there be no strife between me and you. If you go to the left, I will go to the right." Genesis 13:8-9. Realize the greatness of this. He gave up the best part of the earth with full confidence that God would provide. Abraham did not act out of fear of losing, but out of faith that even if he gave in, God would still exalt him. The abundance mindset is exactly that, knowing that you don't need to compete for blessings when you are already a child of the owner of everything. Those who live with a scarcity mentality are always afraid of lacking, afraid of being left behind, afraid of losing control. This generates anxiety, stress, wrong decisions, and even selfish attitudes. Now, those who live with an abundance mentality act with peace, generosity, confidence, and a long-term vision. Abraham did not cling to the ground because his inheritance came from above. Today, look at your life honestly. Have you been making financial and relational decisions based on faith or fear? Scarcity begins in the mind before reaching the bill. Likewise, abundance is born in the heart before manifesting in the physical. And this doesn't have to do with how much you have in the bank, but with who you believe you are in God. You are heir to the kingdom. You are the son of a father who multiplies bread, who makes manna fall from the sky, who sends ravens to feed prophets in the desert. When you live with this awareness, you don't fear the crisis. You don't despair about unemployment. You don't get corrupted because of money. Change your mind, and your reality will begin to change. Declare every day, "My source is the Lord. He is my shepherd, and I shall not want. I live in abundance, not by merit, but by covenant." This mentality will guide your steps, attract opportunities, and open doors that only bold children can cross. Believe, what God has for you is much greater than what you are trying to hold on to. Free yourself from scarcity. Walk with the confidence of knowing that you are covered by the promise of multiplication. True scarcity is not external, it is internal. It doesn't start when money runs out, but when faith weakens. A limited mind always attracts limited results. But when you change the way you think, you also change the way you live. Prosperity is not luck, it is decision. Every act of obedience today builds tomorrow's harvest. As it is written in Deuteronomy 28:2, "If you listen to the voice of the Lord your God, all these blessings will come upon you and overtake you." Prosperity follows you when you walk in purpose. You were not created to survive, you were called to rule. God did not bring you here to live limited, but to manifest His kingdom through your life. Poverty only dominates those who forget who they are. But you are a son. You are heir. You carry a promise. And when you live like Abraham with faith, obedience, detachment, and alliance, prosperity stops being a distant dream and becomes a visible testimony. Go and live the abundance that God has already prepared for you. Not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because prospering is also a way of glorifying God. If this video spoke to you, leave a like now, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. And comment below, which of these Abrahamic principles do you most need to apply in your life today? Share this video with someone who needs to awaken to the call of divine prosperity. You can be the channel that God will use to transform someone else's life.